The Galactic Emergency Council had never voted unanimously on anything. Not when the Vreth swarm devoured the Keplan system. Not when the black hole weapon nearly erased Sector 9. Not even when the Dominion of Morith declared war on 14 species simultaneously. But tonight, every hand, claw, tentacle, and bioluminescent frond rose in agreement. They would send humans to Vareth 4. Commander Zarek Thorne of the Valdorian High Fleet watched the vote finalize on his command screen and felt something he hadn't felt in 200 years of military service: pity. "This is a death sentence," he said quietly. No one disagreed with him. Vareth 4 was not merely dangerous. Dangerous was a word for predators with teeth and poisons with antidotes. Vareth 4 was something else entirely, a world so hostile that the Galcon classification system had simply stopped numbering after Class 12 and invented new language. Class 15, omnilethal. No sustainable biological presence possible. Evacuation recommended for all vessels within orbital range. The atmosphere was a cocktail of methane, chlorine, and reactive sulfur compounds that ate through standard issue armor in under 40 minutes. The surface gravity ran at 3.4 standard. Flora had evolved carnivorous root systems that could sense biosignatures from 60 meters underground. Fauna had evolved alongside the flora, symbiotic apex predators that used the planet's electromagnetic storms to hunt cooperatively. 3 previous Galcon expeditions had attempted to establish a forward base on Vareth 4 to reach the ancient signal emanating from the planet's core, a signal that whispered of pre-collapse technology capable of ending the Morith War. 3 expeditions. 0 survivors. The 4th would include humans. 1 human, specifically. Ethan Cross had survived things that didn't have names yet. He had grown up on New Korova, a colony world that sat in the middle of a magnetic anomaly field, where compasses were decorative, electronics failed monthly, and the local megafauna had learned to hunt in packs. He had served 2 tours with the Terran Deep Survey Corps, cataloging worlds that other species refused to step foot on. He had spent 11 months stranded on Grendel Station after a hull breach, surviving on recycled water and emergency rations while jury-rigging the distress beacon with components from a coffee machine. He was 34 years old, lean in the way that only genuine hardship creates, and had a habit of humming old Earth songs when he was working on something dangerous. He was humming when Commander Zarek Thorne first met him. The briefing room on the Valdorian Star was designed to impress: vaulted ceilings of pale white alloy, holographic star maps rotating in the center column, officers of 8 different species arranged in a semicircle of ranked authority. Zarek himself stood at the head of the room, 7 feet of grayscaled Valdorian with 4 decades of campaign medals running from shoulder to hip. Ethan Cross walked in eating a nutrient bar. He looked at the star map. He looked at Zarek. He looked at the assembled officers, the Kreth xenobiologist, the Sulari engineer, the twin Pandarii navigators, and said, "So. Vareth 4. Not a question. A statement of simple fact." Zarek blinked his secondary eyelids. "You've been briefed." "I've been briefed." Ethan finished the nutrient bar, folded the wrapper precisely, and tucked it into his jacket pocket. 3 expeditions. Total casualties. Class 15 atmosphere. Reactive sulfur, chlorine, methane mix. Gravity's rough but manageable. The fauna used the electromagnetic storms as a coordination mechanism. He paused. "That's actually kind of beautiful, when you think about it." The Kreth xenobiologist made a sound like grinding stone, the Kreth equivalent of discomfort. "You find cooperative apex predators beautiful?" Ethan tilted his head. "I find anything that solves a hard problem creatively to be beautiful." They evolved a hunting network using a planetary phenomenon. "That's elegant." He looked back at the star map. "What killed the 3rd expedition?" Zarek pulled up the mission logs. The root systems detected their life signs through the reinforced flooring of the forward module. Flora penetrated the base from below within. 6 hours. Yeah. Ethan studied the map. They were stationary too long. You can't stop moving on a world like that. The moment you establish a fixed position, you're already dead. You've just got a timer on it. He walked toward the holographic display, studying the surface topography with his hands behind his back. What was the signal depth? 14 kilometers below the surface. Ethan was quiet for a moment. In the silence, Zarek noticed the human was humming again, something low and rhythmic, almost melodic. You understand, Zarek said carefully, that we are not expecting you to succeed. The Galactic Council requires a fourth attempt for political documentation. Proof of effort. The technology in that signal may be recoverable through other means, eventually, but you need someone expendable enough to try. Ethan turned from the map and looked at him with clear, gray eyes that had no particular expression in them, not offense, not fear, just a kind of clean attention. I'm not offended, Commander. I've been expendable before. He smiled slightly. I've also been underestimated before. That's usually more useful. They landed him on Varith 4 at 0300 local, during a lull between electromagnetic storm systems. Zarek watched from orbital command. The mission feed from Ethan's suit was a data stream of environmental readings, biometric output, and helmet camera footage. For the first 40 minutes, it showed nothing but the human walking, not in a straight line, but in a constant, weaving pattern that changed direction every 4 to 7 minutes. What is he doing? The Kreth xenobiologist whispered. Not stopping, said the Sulari engineer. The root systems never triggered. Ethan had identified 3 different species of surface predator within the first 2 hours, logged their behavior patterns, and Zarek watched this part twice to confirm it was real. Redirected one pack into the hunting territory of another by mimicking subsonic frequency signals using a modified tool from his kit. The predators fought each other. Ethan walked through the aftermath, humming. At hour 6, a chlorine storm system rolled in 30 minutes ahead of projection. Standard protocol was emergency shelter deployment and lockdown. Ethan Cross walked into the storm. His suit's external readings spiked into red. Zarek's hand moved toward the emergency extraction trigger. The Pandarii navigators were already calculating retrieval vectors. Then Ethan's voice came through the calm as a man reading a grocery list. The storm system is actually moving faster than the predators can adapt to. They're retreating to low-ground dens. I've got about a 40-minute window of clear surface approach to the drill site. Don't extract me. Your suit integrity is at, Zarek began. 63%, I know. I've got more buffer than the 3rd expedition did, and I'm not stopping to let the roots find me. A pause. The humming returned briefly. I've also recalibrated the suit's sulfur filtration using the emergency carbon strips. Bought myself another 2 hours of breathable atmosphere. I'm fine. The Kreth xenobiologist turned to Zarek with an expression he couldn't fully translate, something between scientific fascination and existential vertigo. Commander, it said slowly. What is this species? Zarek didn't answer immediately. He was watching the mission feed. Watching a human being walk through a Class 15 atmosphere during an active chlorine storm, on a world that had killed everyone else who had ever set foot on it, and hum. They're from a Class M world, Zarek said finally. But they don't seem to have noticed. Ethan Cross reached the signal chamber at hour 19. He sent back the access codes, the structural schematics, and a complete set of replication data for the pre-collapse technology in under 3 hours. He did it while consuming his second nutrient bar and managing a hairline fracture in his left arm from a root system that had finally caught his biosignature. He'd cauterized the entry wound, reset his own arm using a suit brace, and kept moving. When they pulled him off the surface, 22 hours after insertion, he was in better shape than half the rescue team had expected. Zarek met him in the medical bay. Ethan was sitting up, the arm in a proper brace now, looking at the data readouts from the signal chamber on a handheld screen. The technology works, Ethan said, without looking up. End the war in under a year, probably. Council should be pleased. Zarek studied him. Are you, well? Ethan looked up. That same clear, unreadable expression. Mostly. Arms annoying. He paused. You look like you want to ask me something. Zarek considered denying it. He didn't. How, he said simply. Ethan looked back at his screen. He was quiet for a long moment, and Zarek thought he might not answer. Then, we come from a place that was trying to kill us before we had language to describe it. Predators, disease, ice ages, each other. He turned the screen off. The galaxy thinks that made us fragile. It didn't. He glanced at Zarek with something almost like amusement. It just made us practiced. He picked up another nutrient bar from the tray beside him and started unwrapping it. Besides, Ethan added, Varith 4 has nothing on a Tuesday on New Korova. Zarek Thorne, commander of the Valdorian High Fleet, veteran of 40 years of war, stood in the medical bay of his flagship and felt, for the first time in his very long life, genuinely and completely outclassed. He decided, on reflection, that he was glad humans were on his side. The Morith War ended 11 months later. Humanity was awarded 7 new colony designations. They settled 3 of them. The other 4 were classified as too inhospitable by Galcon safety standards. Humanity asked if they could have those ones too. The Council said yes. Immediately. Without discussion. It seemed wiser.